Nye para jingwa zobe changzhu deng zhawara jeba mi dunba mi je duba dan tenpa tenpa yo yuwa jewa woye dikpa jimbo yindu ne lekpara shikpa rinpara bura shikpa tumpara Thaye jebe osu girwa cha jebe osu girwa sonam ye parji xin yun yungsu jawa Chimbe nizu gyaba gunda yang chimbe nizu gyurwa jimbo shangza wada cheche shabandan chizi yira gyi zawa gewa jungzen dagi jizawa tamjen zogbe changchu chingo sajibu shi jungshe mendo Jira leje nyende nyambande sanje shinde mede burwa Joge namda yinla choba sho Zemje namge zamba loye chedra chedra wa jejun tumu deba Shege kolo gorodo
Good afternoon and evening. Welcome to all the viewers. I hope over here all of you are having a good time, and most importantly that you have had some time to read. You can read the verses into a voice memo and play that as a lullaby, to that extent, and see what happens. So it's similar to finding something really, really intriguing. And if that kind of spark is there, then it's possible that we will use all kinds of means to get in touch with this particular Buddha Dharma. That you don't wish to be separated from it, that you wish to know more and more about it, and all the other activities, daily activities almost seem meaningless, So I'm not saying that we have to do that, but nevertheless, if that does happen, then it's a wonderful thing. If that doesn't happen, no worries. Yes, so that's that. So then I don't know to which particular verse we were stuck. You can help me. 91. Okay. Yes. So I will read a few verses in Tibetan from 91. Kalti dak dungaji shingi lula menepan tetang dungal te dadu shimbe mizuni. Tejin shingi dungal dalam babra minjuyan tetang dungal te dadu shimbe zuparka. Dagi shingi dungal sal dungal yincha dadu jin dagi jinlan pembaja simjin yincha dalu jin kanse datan jini ka devan dodun tsumbola datan chebra chiyuna kanche dachi devar jin kanse datan jini ka dunga mende tsumbola datan chebra chi na kanche yemen dasun che kate terla dunga we dala mene chime song maung baye dunga ya nubra nume chena dechi song dake tenne nyonyambe nambar tode lopa den detara shiwaan jini la kiwa yanne jini kanse kange dunga ka tene jisuna kambe dunga lapeme chichib tenne te songche kate rikpa miyanda datu zimbin jujena daje mere kanyenden jinyu parna bangja ni gyutan soche che wane tingwa mala sochen dunga jengang teme ba tinte seshi oman yor dunga dabo meba di tamchi chira meba ni dunga yinche tesa che ebe tenne chichir kunji dunga na dobar desi chetume kate donang tamchi temen dachan samji kinchi dunga manjo ba chichir nengi che che na rohe dunga samjine chetan 현재 동화망 같은 동화 지게는 동화망 범맥은 세단 템베 동화다 런던 전란 제자 니 되나 메토드는 제벤로 바케잖아 다그 동화망도 맘베 동화 선주제 대다라 저는 공저바 진지 동화시가 빼면 서로가 뭐 남면 바yan 주번주 천전 넘버 2는 가베잔서 간이 봐 등예지는 처음은 타반도 베디시자 대대진지 tun제죠 원천단나 원점에 직도 진단라고 남현저와 레와메 대외 지도를 중요한 민년의 전도성은 대전전나 소조된 현재선은 지도자 컴바이네이션다 그 코어 찾게 되고 너무 매버지는 다고진 지연의 시바다 대신 진실로 다저지 있지만서 다글은 다도 이자버트다 가바메 단위 준지전나 윤등견 되게는 단정용도 도다 전랑원은 공부자 So until 112 I read so far and then there are some other okay. So until the 112th stanza I've read, and then I was saying that there are lots of other verses to read from this chapter only. And yesterday I was also asked to read the Hundu text. And likewise for tomorrow then there is the Vaitara Sadhana also to read. So there are lots of things to read. And so I will try to do all that. At the same time, we have to move forward with all these verses. And so far we have come across the part where, well, sort of powering through, we have discovered that, or we may have discovered that jnana the practice of jhana, the paramita of it is very, very important in order for us to follow the ways of the Bodhisattvas. And then, in summary, that until these current verses, then what was said so far is that jhana, in order to focus on jhana, then first of all, it's very important to establish a link and make a connection with the previous chapters, starting from the first chapter until this one, the 8th chapter, about what is the importance of generating bodhicitta. Then, in order to make it more grounded, you focus on the confusions that we can generate should we not generate bodhicitta. And then from there onwards until this chapter to the rest of the chapter basically focuses on the most tangible activities and the most tangible practice or practices that we can have our hands on, starting from being there, or what we would say, being generous. Then how helpful it is to have a sense of being cool, being chilled, colloquial terms, of course, but in short, talking about the shila, and then what that means, each of the chapter as they go through, it's not necessarily blocking things into various compartments, but trying to find various catchy, practical terms that can somehow make it more user-friendly. And so, similarly, then there are terms like patience and so on, which in Tibetan is referred to as zopa, but it's not necessarily just bearing, but instead it's a symptom of having our state of mind quite calm and cool and collective. And so therefore, naturally, something that seems to, like a season into, is then naturally being sort of formidable, undisturbed, and then undisturbed. Why? It leads to the next chapter, that of being finding a lot of joy, in short. Yes, finding a lot of joy for the first time, maybe. something that we have experienced during our childhood, but we may seem to have lost. So of course in this case maybe we can use in English terms something like, rekindling or something, In this case we may have the liberty to use something, a word or a noun or a verb that begins with re. So therefore how wonderful it was when we were small. If you looked into this particular hall, it felt like the whole of the universe, So it naturally leads to that, yes. From all the way from the paramita of generosity, it leads to all kinds of wonders. And now what do they mean? What does the kind of why all these qualities come into being? Is once again, it's almost like going backward in a way to the basics. It's saying that why during our childhood we saw all those kind of wonders is because we had some form of undisturbed expression, one could say. So in this case, we name that as jhana, Not necessarily to say that that's perfect, or probably that's not even the right word. It's not to say it's right or perfect or anything like that, but natural maybe. That's the freedom we can have, to define. So therefore, jhana as something very natural, in some ways linked to the idea of being innocent or something, but that's just a part of it. But in short, something very natural. And because it's natural, meaning for ourselves, it's okay to be just a baby, let's say. And there's nothing wrong with it. But inevitably, within this conditioned world, we will naturally grow up, physically or mentally. I mean, that's just an expression, of course. But something happens, yes. And so therefore, you become more aware of others. And if you are we can be shy about it. We can be a little bit embarrassed about this growth. And therefore feel or try to find some form of cover, When we are babies, we almost look like as if we are fearless, yes. Then we reach a certain age, just between the adulthood and that baby state, suddenly we become very shy. Yes. We can see it from looking at the so-called, the youth, and if you recall also of our own memory, we will find something similar, but we felt quite embarrassed. And so therefore we naturally feel that, I will just hide behind this person or behind my elder sibling or behind my parents or behind this tree or something. So it's, is it bad? Is that something that should not take place? No. It's very much part and parcel of our conditioned state. If you are born without a society, no worries. So, a visible one is that of the animal world. They have no real, human-like shyness or feeling embarrassed or being conscious, And gods are probably the best expression. And so therefore now it's only according to our condition that we feel that way. But it's not in any way for us to condemn or even to praise, because sometimes we may just praise and say, oh, we should be all like babies, But that's not really going to do the trick. It's just, if it's only for ourselves or something, then it's okay probably. Just to, not to say crawl back, but to be in that baby state. But at the same time, as we grow, as we are embarrassed, as we are shy, we begin to recognize that there are others also who are feeling the same thing. Anyway, I'm trying to lead up to the idea of Bodhisattva's attitude, and I'm doing a terrible job. But nevertheless, in short, then if it is for the sake of others, then yes, there is a reason to focus on these aspects of practices, what we would call Bodhisattva practices, That is not just for our own liberation, but it is for, so-called others. I mean, there is a wonderful verse, which I don't remember exactly where it is, somewhere there. Which says something similar to what is the point of liberation? Yeah, that's how it ends, that particular stanza. And I think that's once again, every now and then Shantideva tries to remind us, because sure, he can be talking about the faults of samsara and suddenly feel that, yes, I should just simply withdraw from all of this. And he has no other choice but to talk about the quality of, or the benefit of becoming a Bodhisattva. And suddenly we feel very inspired, so flared up, that to a point where we feel that we feel very encouraged, that we feel I can do anything and try and jump off the roof in order to fly or something, and we fall flat. So therefore, we can go into those extremes. So instead, even now and then he has these reminders in a way to say something all of a sudden that liberation means basically nothing, Now in this case, of course, in this chapter, then he's basically referring to now from the discovering of the faults of not having that jhana, that baby perspective. Yet at the same time, we cannot just simply say that that baby state is it, and put it into a corner and be happy with that corner. and something like that. Instead, he's talking about growth, in short. I'm just reading, commentating, and that's it, okay? I'm not giving you direct mind-to-mind instruction or something like that, yes? Yes, anyway, so then jhana and jhana, now where it matures, or how we can take that baby state, that in short, that curiosity, yes, into our daily lives, Daily life is not really about oneself, it's not really about others, it's just daily life, And so, therefore, now how do we take it then? So far from the 80-something verses, then we have come across the Shantideva's unique take, on how we can actually make this practice timeless, instantaneous, spontaneous. Yes. So we, due to someone's question yesterday, which was coming from which comes coming from you. It sort of originated from there, and so therefore, yes, because maybe you were kind of saying, cut all these dragging aspects, jump to the juicy part, So, yes. So anyway, the juicy part is that then saying basically, showcasing or reminding ourselves of what Shantideva is referring to. It's not that he pioneered or he discovered something that no other Bodhisattvas discovered or something. It's just according to the circumstance, then each Bodhisattva have to be they're like a comedian, They have to understand the mood of this particular gathering, and then according to the circumstances, then be very spontaneous and turn the most sadistic, malicious, horrifying circumstances into something frivolous, funny, yes. And so therefore, that's why in the other tradition, which is, I just say other, even though I think I know the name of the so-called other, I will leave it as a clue for you to discover what is the other tradition. Now, according to the tradition, then it is known as, there are almost 7 steps, and that will lead us to understand the preciousness and the benefit of generating bodhicitta, which is a wonderful method also. Yes. But according to Shantideva, then he talks about this something, what I will call almost instantaneous in a way. If you like the idea of trying to overcome time, idea of time. So therefore, then yes, jhana and jhana, it leads to that particular part where we say, okay, that it's the everyday thing, it's a very colloquial term. To make it even more colloquial from the overuse terms like spontaneous, spontaneity. No, yeah, yeah. That's for me a twister, tongue twister, and or something instantaneous or something like that, and we put it very, very grounded, and therefore we can say everyday stuff, everyday life, And then from that point of view, then this method is wonderful, yes. Because, yes, of course, if you follow the words of these structure, obviously they are very helpful to say, to label things as me and others, or self, or others, self, others, self, others. It just repeats for a long time. But it's almost like reciting mantra, let's say, Or you say something like Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. After some time it feels like Ahum Om, Ahum Om, Ahum Om. After some time it sounds like Hum Ahum, Hum Ahum, Hum Ahum, it feels that probably it's distracting and disorienting, but it is not, because me, you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, you, and then after some time you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, And so then that's it. We are already in a disoriented state, let's say. And so therefore there is probably, it cannot get worse than that, if you just disrupt the order. Yes. So it's something like that, I think. Yeah. So therefore, if we exchange, or first of all, if we see that it's just words, concept, vowels, it becomes formidable, it becomes almost substantial. And I guess from that perspective, maybe the 7 steps that leads to bodhicitta probably it does make sense, because now from that technique it's kind of focusing probably more on how the idea of accumulation, one could say, where we feel that psychologically that we feel that yes, everything is kind of transient, it's not really there, but there is something still, and that something is gradual accumulation, and therefore it turns into something, So in that sense, yes. So anyway, coming back, yes, it's a wonderful vehicle, of course. It breaks through various stages of being stuck, and then yes. Oh yes, I was talking about the equalizing aspect. Yes, that then beside the built-up, to that point of what is that term in comedy? You built up. Punchline, yes. Punchline, yes. Until that punchline, but in order to reach to that punchline, build up is important. So same thing, it's just a matter of how we built up, So according to the way we built up, then we can feel that, I'm here. But according to the way we built up, we can also feel that I'm there, And that's why I use those dry analogy, like that of scratching someone, some stranger scratching your car. That when someone scratches your car by accident or by wisdom, I don't know. When you hear you really feel like as if the very core of you is being scratched or something. Yes. Or suddenly you happen to be passing by television screen or those days were radios, but nowadays it's television screen or a projector or something. And for no rhyme or reason, maybe you take a side of a particular sport being played. You take someone's side, let's say the blue, the red, and so you naturally lean more towards that, and then you root for that. And when the ball is being goaled or being kicked, you want it to bend it like Beckham, You lean according to the ball in order to reach the net or something like that. Anyway, like I said, very, very dry. It's the way we build up, I think. The way we build up, and it's up to us how we would like to build up, how we would like to accumulate. Yes. Does it mean something if you build up the other way around? No, nothing at all. Yes. But building it up the other way in order to sort of balance out the other way of building up, then probably it's interesting. Yes. So, yes. So, to see that this idea of someone being here and someone being there, or you and me, is nothing but an equalizing factor. And then from there, if that is the case, then we can do anything, from this position where we stand, from this base. Now we can play. Yes. Initially, it's a bit of a work, let's say, to get around that idea. It feels like work. But once you reach there, then it's all play, sort of thing. And now, is it boring? No, of course not. The conditioned existence still provides a lot of residual effect, and so therefore, if you don't have a good diet or if you don't have enough sleep, the residual pattern will still give you various level of experience, and you will feel tired, you will feel exhausted, you will feel hungry, and you will feel almost similar to a feeling of being depressed and so on. Yes, all of that is there, but it's by now no more sticky. Yes, no more really sticky. It's just that, yes, you're going through that, you feel a little lightheaded, but you kind of know that, oh yes, from my doctoral or from my medical point of view, I know that it means I'm lacking in sugar or lacking in protein or something, and immediately you know what to do. So it's nothing life-threatening. So yes, so that's where we are now. We are going through the phase where we are trying to now exchange, which sounds strange, of course. And Shantideva has already, one could say, thought out the dilemma, the questions we have, of saying, of thinking, or feeling that, well, if that's the case, maybe if all of this is unreal, then maybe we don't have to do anything about it, we can just let it be. But of course, Shantideva is being very practical by saying that, well, as I said right now, the residual effect is still very formidable, it's no joke, yes. Even though you understand the main opponent, but the whole host of its minions are still very much in the act, and they are still in that mood, until their battery, of course, dies. Till then, that residual effect is still there. Yeah. And so therefore, he's now trying to have a good conversation, basically. Yeah. So one of the main questions that comes is saying something like, because of course Shantideva is now already from the very first chapter, or even the title itself, like here in this translation says a guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, or a way of the Bodhisattva, and then we can have more traditional translations also, and less traditional translations. In short, the motivation behind all of this is, motivation behind this of Shantideva is that so that we don't think of just going back to becoming a baby and that's it, but in this case, of course, becoming a baby in any form doesn't, or it's not supposed to demean the idea of liberation, of course. No? Liberation is probably one of the, not probably, I mean, from my perspective, is the most rarest thing, the rarest, most rarest concept that we can produce, you know. Sort of like the pinnacle of it, you know, the summit of it, the peak of it. But Bodhisattvas, which is a common Sanskrit name, from their point of view, meaning someone who has reached that peak now, and been there, done that sort of, you know, person, is then sharing their experience that that's not it, you know. Just being there in that state of not being disturbed by either coarse, how to say, conditions or even subtle conditions, you know. Conditions can be very, very subtle. That's the thing. It's very intelligent in a way. Conditions, you know. We can sort of suddenly, when it's on alert, meaning as if it is being chased down by authority or something, then it is so intelligent that it can sort of suddenly, like that, disperse, you know, from a very prominent pile into something so subtle that it's undetectable. You know? Yet at the same time, in that what seems like a dormant state, it's still very potent, you know, very, very powerful. Yeah. Because once again, it can plant a lot of seeds. Yes. And so therefore, now, anyway, I'm being too abstract, I think. So, yes, some of your questions would be very, very helpful, yes, in order to help me to make it, yes, less abstract. Yeah.
Your Holiness, thank you so much for precious teachings. I have two questions, if I may. So the first one, thank you. The first question is, it seems like Shantideva is building up on this disadvantage of being enchanted by samsaric activity until the specific stance where he says you should go and meditate in solitary seclusion. So my question is more like, do you have a practical recommendation for contemporary lay practitioners who are like aspiring bodhisattvas and have some like full-time job or, I don't know, social commitments? What would be your understanding how we can use our time wisely to have this taste of solitary practice in our time, in our busy life? That's the first one. Should I go on with the second or later?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So my second question is, a couple of years ago, you were describing the nature of all phenomena and saying that it's empty and it's pure. And pure in sense, not as a sanitized or sterilized, but all things considered. Could you please elaborate a little bit on this part? Thank you so much.
Yes. I said something yesterday about our contemporary challenges, I think. Yeah. that from another angle, it could probably be said that our contemporary challenges are probably quite primitive, compared to the challenges that were faced in, I don't know, historical-wise in many centuries ago. Yeah. So now, please bring me back there, okay? Because now I will drift off.
What would be your recommendation how we use our time wisely? Like what does it mean to have this solitude retreat experience if we have limited time?
Yes. Yeah. Just help me bring back before I, So, yes, if I understood anything from my predecessors, from my parents, because it's a very interesting gap, yes, because it's a big gap, one could say, yes. Although many of my contemporaries may feel that, oh, we are of same age, same era, and so on, but it's quite different, yeah. When I was growing up, the place where I was, was probably even more backward in some ways than the rest of the world, yes. And so therefore, I almost, one could say that it was almost like as if I was in a time machine where I was living probably a few centuries back. And then all of a sudden, like that, now I'm into the 21st century or something. So therefore, it's a very unique experience, And similarly, I'm sure for my parents' era or that age group, it's also something very unique, because they were not born in this semi-state, but they were already living a particular era that was probably even more backwards, let's say. And suddenly they are to digest and cope and adopt this new world, Yeah. Because imagining that elsewhere around the world, whether it's east or west, maybe the changes were already taking place some time ago, way before. So anyway, having said all that, now I'm trying to come back, swim back, okay. Is that, yes, from what I've understood from them is that, you see, that's why I have this blockage, this idea of family and friends. Yes. Whereas to most parts of the world, or to most cultures, maybe it's no big deal. But I have a blockage in this case. Not exactly a blood clot of some kind, not lethal, but nevertheless something very curious. Because it feels that as if in this so-called contemporary world now, with all of these so-called advancement, which are wonderful, fascinating, I will not be able to now imagine living without telecommunication, electricity, and so on. Yes. I'm already hooked into it. Yeah. like probably some of you, rest of you, I don't know. Yes. But yes, the thing about this contemporary world is that even though the technologies are so advanced, nevertheless, it seems very backward in some way. Yeah. Because I mean, the value of having a friend, obviously, it's wonderful. It's indescribable actually. But the fact is, every day this friend changes. Today today you're my friend. Today you're not. Now I have a new friend. I have now the next day another friend. By the time I have a friend already, I'm already on the lookout for another friend, and family is just sort of a sticky thing that is, like a chewing gum of some kind that is stuck on some part of my clothing or my shoes or something. I just cannot get rid of it, and yeah, I'm just being quite humorous. Of course, I'm not saying that's it. Yes. And so, of course, now at the end of the day, it's about trying to find something, in short, which comes in here. It says, when it comes to talk about what is really equalizing, saying me and you or self or other, what does that mean? Because self and other sounds very abstract. So therefore, to make it more colloquial and grounded, it says happiness and sorrow. Yeah. So of course, obviously, why we seek for friends is probably to find something common. What I found this to be very, very nice, and it's interesting that even though we have so much gap in culture and race and so on, it's nice to see that somewhere from the complete opposite end of the world, you find something similar. How nice, and so therefore we feel that we have a connection. Yes, so it's equalizing. Yes. But nevertheless, at the moment we have not known, we are not experienced enough what it means to mingle, really. Maybe it will take another century to really discover what it means to mingle, actually. Wow, East meets West, but we don't know what it means, actually. Yeah, we have zero idea about what it means, yes. All we are exchanging are something exotic about each other, and that's it. Hamburgers and jhana, or pasta in jhana, I don't know. Yes. We are still in that state, even though we say next year is the 50th anniversary or something, Yeah. Yeah. We're still in that state. It will take a long time, actually. So, yes, maybe friendship can replace familyhood, or if one can put it that way. So we don't know. Yeah. So now, through this journey, through this discovery, classical things are still the same, still emerging. Just like Shantideva says, problems are still there, that doesn't age. That doesn't. That just doesn't age. Yes, it's still there. Yeah. So then, suddenly I say, "You're my friend," and that implies that I'm here. Yes, and now I want you to be like me, but I don't want you to be like someone else. And if you begin to have traits of someone else that I don't really know or dislike or something, then I'll be very sad, Then the rest comes, So, but nevertheless, the reason why I say it's backward is, the reason why I say it's backward, and the reason why I said that is because right now we really don't know what is all this. And so therefore, it's quite harmless, Suddenly I can delete you from my chat account or something, and no worries, Even from your side, no worries. I will find from these 8, 9 billion people someone, So therefore, it's not substantial enough, let's say, even to have a proper depression, Yeah. Whereas in the previous era, I think, if there was a depression, my goodness, that depression lasted for generations, Our depression is very childish, very colloquial. Yeah. And so therefore, it's not even worthy. Whereas the depression of our predecessors, I'm talking in this case, our parents and their parents and their parents, were much more formidable. Yeah. And it's not because just one day I said hi, you didn't say hi, and suddenly you're not my best friend or something, But it goes quite deep. Yeah. Of course, still an illusion, of course, but nevertheless, it's more logical. And so therefore, yes, it's to have a breakthrough from that kind of previous era's blockage, Now, if one has come through that, something really, really formidable, now that's something. Yes. In our case, even if you have made certain breakthroughs, it's still flimsy, yes, because soon after we can say, oh, we have made up, we are once again back as friends or something. Yeah. So, yes, it's something like that. Now I completely forgot your first question, which was about...
It was about this taste of solitude in the contemporary
solitude,
world.
yes. And
what would be your recommendation, how we can use our
and
limited
recognition,
time for this?
yes.
Thank you.
And
the second question was about...
I'm still stuck in the first question.
So, how would you recommend us to use our limited time to have this taste of solitude and
yes.
practice in solitude?
Got it, yes. So, I think in our era, actually, it's much easier in some ways to find this solitude, way easier than before. Yeah. Yes, the outer conditions are different, of course, which will always be, meaning that, just as when I was around 8, 9, 10, to think that once we cross this particular boundary, we have to pay in order to visit the toilet, or we have to pay for drinking water, you know. And but now it's become normal, and soon we will have to pay for our oxygen or something like that. Yes. And then after some time, we have to pay just to think, or I don't know. Yes. So yes, with each advancement of era, then there will be a lot of new boundaries that will be invented. Yes, but nevertheless, like I said, because right now the way we say this is me, this is my place, this is my home, this is my family, this is my friend, and so on, are so more transient than ever, you know. And so therefore, it's completely up to us what we want to do. Yeah. We cannot really say you have to do something because time is running out. You know, we don't even have to panic ourselves. Even if someone tries to panic somebody, it will be just a noise. Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, my feeling is that maybe we have way more freedom than in the past. Yeah. In the past, let's say, if you really wanted to look for solitude, it was a life-changing experience. Yeah. Like for Milarepa, let's say, yes. Of course, he didn't really know, but some part of him told him that probably this, from here onwards, if I take this journey, I will never see my mother again. You know, yeah. And probably that was the only thing that made it. That was probably the only center of the world. You know, actually, yeah. But the circumstances were so sharp, you know, that it was either this way or that way. Yeah. Right now, it's not this way or that way. It's every which way, you know. So, yeah, we can use every which way to seek for solitude, I think. Yeah. It's not to say if you really want to, but if you just discover, this is the kind of circumstances we are in, you know. This is the kind of circumstance that I mean, yes. My English grammar is disappearing as I talk. So, yes, it's in some ways it could be much easier, actually. But the camera is there, there's another camera there, there is this, so therefore this is not teaching, this is not Dharma, this is not canon. This is Dharma, but this is not Buddha Dharma, you know. And this is just me yapping, you know. So, in that sense, yes, that's how I feel. Now, your second question.
Thank you so much. The second question is about you describing the nature of phenomena.
Oh, nature of
saying
phenomena.
pure as all things considered rather than cleansed or sanitized. What did you mean by all things considered? If you can explain. Thank you.
I think the reading of Bodhicaryavatara is a perfect illustration of how Dharmakaya, was it? No? Yes. it's probably the most profound and proper way of presenting Dharmakaya, actually. Because it's not just an empty vessel or lifeless or completely sanitized state, numb state. That's the word I was using during this course. So no, yes, it's encompassing everything, yes, particularly the so-called relative truth. Yeah. And till the next chapter, all this is about the relative truth. Yeah. And probably relative truth is far more important than the absolute truth, because this is one world that we know. We know about anger, we know about depression, we know about desire, we know about jealousy, we know about pride, we know all this, Right now we only know about the absolute truth or Dharmakaya or wisdom or shunyata only through implication. Yeah? But it will be nice to arrive at the idea of well, in this case, Dharmakaya in a more implied from a perspective where almost no, where, how do I say this now? Where we have covered all the angles. Yeah. So focusing on the relative truth may seem low, not the opposite of high, the lowest of teachings, the most colloquial of colloquist or colloquist of teachings. But nevertheless, no. The more we discover this, then the implication is very, very pristine. That at some point, even though it's just theoretical, it's very, very clear. Yeah. Then, out of that preparation, then suddenly we have a terrible accident, or we lose the most precious thing to us, my left toe, or my tail. Yes. I don't know if it's a Tibetan saying or Western saying, I don't know. A yak doesn't know its value of its tail until it's lost or something. Yes. Maybe it's not Tibetan, maybe it's neighborly, I don't know. But I like it. Yes. So therefore, if we should come across, which is very possible. Actually, we are storming through all kinds of direct experiences every day. We don't notice them actually. Yeah. And therefore, the theoretical, I don't know, the conceptual preparation, in this case, really serves us well, yeah. Because then we don't have just one incomplete idea of emptiness, and the more we try to meditate on that, the only thing we can come up with is, I don't know, a statue of Chinese. And it's not breathing, it's not blinking, it's not doing anything. And that's it. Yes. But if you're able to cover all those relative aspects of life, which are often referred to as ordinary and low teaching, it's not low at all. Yes. It's actually beautiful. Yeah. Not in a way that it's so desirous and all that, appetizing, all that, no. But it's very disillusioningly beautiful. Yes. So therefore, the more we get into that, then even though we may be at the moment be able to just imply, already we are implying something really, really meaningful. Yes. So therefore, it's not sterile. No, it's full of virus. It's full of bacteria. In this it says just peel the first layer of onion. How many of you are doctors or medical? 1, 2, or I should 2, or 2, okay. 3, or 3, and 4, or 4. Each culture has different. Some this way, and this way. I'm from this culture. Far East says this. Far West says this. Anyway, yes. So we should have some chat with these 4 individuals about how to peel the physical onion. And how many psychologists are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Now how to peel the psychological onion. You can discuss with, you can have a nice session. Yes. Yes. And then peel, and then see how sterile we are after all the medication, good diet, good meditation, good Mahamudra, good Mahati, or I don't know, everything that comes, yes. At the end of the day, we have more bacteria than chicken. And yes. Yeah. So it's very grounded. Yes, it's very wholesome. Yeah. We cannot say is that the Dharmakaya or Sambhogakaya, all that. We don't know. Yeah. But we will be able to see something at least, something that is relatable, yes? And then be absolutely amazed for both who care about the image and who don't care about the image. Both, encompass both. And be absolutely flabbergasted by both. Yeah. Because for those who are concerned about the image, again, like Shantideva says, it's amazing, that for the sake of the image, then we may look for a proper friend, according friend, according husband, according wife, according children, the most ideal one, and so on. Yes. And for those who are not concerned by the image, like I'm not talking about Bodhisattva, forget Bodhisattva. But let's say someone like living, yes, living, of course. But loving father or a mother, let's say, Now to them, image doesn't matter. The analogy, the classical analogy, which I talked about yesterday, which is not my invention, but it's a classical one, that of a loving mother, a single mother, who has one, child, single child. I don't know. Anyway, then to her, image is not of concern. Yes, and now this thing is peeing and pooping, vomiting, and basically secreting from upstairs and downstairs. Yet at the same time you have to do all sorts of things to make it grow so that it will continue. Hopefully not until their adulthood, but after that they will continue to do, download from upstairs and downstairs, So, yes, so in this case now, very, very interesting to imagine to both those who are concerned with image and those who are not concerned. Given the circumstances, both of them would have the logic, But of course, in this case, and the one who is not concerned by the image is probably more in tune with that. Yes. But nevertheless, it's like seeking for trouble, looking for trouble. Yes. That's why then Shantideva says in this, I think, 103rd verse or something, that since it's like that, meaning someone who knows almost in and out of this relative world, quite seasoned, and then doubts and says, so since it's like this, then what's the point? What's the point to equalize? What's the point to think that we are the same? What's the point to even do anything? So, what does he say? Well, logically, then we can say that probably it's coming from that feeling of sacrifice, maybe, or being very logical, maybe, saying that right now is bitter, this medicine, but afterwards we'll have good health. Maybe that notion. So maybe we can sort of encourage ourselves that way. Yeah. But in absolute, it's really all about seeing, viewing, sighting, knowing, understanding. That this conditioned world will always be like this. Yeah. The best of companions could suddenly become the very worst, your arch nemesis. But it doesn't end there. Now you will have to one day cope with the state that either yourself or the other can suddenly again go back, reverse. How do you cope with that? Let's say maybe children have accepted that their parents got divorced. It was very hard for them, but suddenly now they are back. They are having affairs. How to accept that? And then back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So, how to accept all this is to say, you just cannot say, you just cannot decide. Yes, that's the thing. No point in deciding. You just watch. Yes. Now, furthermore, there will be the part which will hopefully make you all happy, where through the help of this great seclusion, then you'll be able to finally protect, protect the things you love. So it comes. Okay, oh, sorry. So I answer your question, yes? Okay. Any other question, or so far now less abstract? Less abstract? Yeah? Okay, you? Yes.
My question would be about the verse 83.
83.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says, with a minimum of effort, what we put into samsaric joy.
What?
A minimum of effort, which we put into samsaric joy, we could reach Buddhahood. So this sounds like a good deal. What is this minimum of effort?
'83, yes?
Yes, 83. I got the German translation. Maybe it's close by.
How does it go again?
Just can read it in German, but it's, I think in English it's a millionth of fraction or something like this. A millionth. It's also 83. With but a millionth part of such vexation, enlightenment itself could be attained.
Okay. Yes, it's focusing on the quality, the last few bits about okay, I have to read the English one, 83. I think it's more or less the same what I said before. our Q&A. Um, um, what is it? The greatest obstacle for jnana is distraction. Yes, and of all the distraction, what is most dangerous is that of desire, in a way. Yeah, because it looks harmless. It looks very harmless. Yeah, it's love, not war, sort of thing. And so, how much harm could it do? So, therefore, it's very intriguing. But then, eventually, that leads to everything else. Yeah. Now, in order to acquire power, fortune, fame, even though it looks like the so-called desire or love is, altruistic, for other, but eventually it's for me. And so it's not real love, actually. Yeah. And so therefore, now, in order to acquire this thing, then we will go to a point where we will create, I don't know, for the whole world to go to war or something. Yeah. So it's according to this, it says that in order to somehow attain the cessation of this, the ending of this, yes, if it requires a bit of, bitterness, so be it. Yeah. Because compared to not just millions or trillions or something like that, it's not really numbers, it's just what we say, it's the pain. Yeah? It's the pain, it's the suffering. It's this depression of, not getting what we want. Yeah. It has so much weight, it's so heavy that it feels that it's the end of the world, So compared to that, this little bitterness that I have to taste, it's no big a deal. And yes, basically that's the point, I think. Yeah. So in here, we don't really have to it's all a psychological thing, I think, at the end. The moment we think of problem, or the idea of problem pops up, then immediately we feel, a sense of negation. But instead, actually, if we are able to just calm ourselves down a little bit and look at it more directly, then we will be able to somehow differentiate. Yes, if this problem is coming from something genuine, meaning, in this case, is it out of kindness, and therefore maybe we have to go through a little bit of trouble to get there, or which is still problem is problem, yes. But the other one is that although it has that appearance as if it is something nice, but it's not. Yeah? Instead, it's going to open a whole other set of problems. Yes. Sorry, I have to go back all the way there.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity. I guess I'm confused. And this is the part about joy. Everything I heard in the last few days was very much about whatever mundane life we have is leading to problems. Yet, the mundane life is joyful, is just the same, you know. For like having friends means enjoying something and something will grow out of this. I have 3 kids. Raising kids is tough. It really is. But it's very joyful as well. I know what love is since I have kids. I know what an awful person I am since I have kids, but what I can love as well. So it just gets me, you know, it gets me going now. It's very theoretical, I know. I understand it intellectually. But I truly think life and all that we share gives strength, gives joy, and that keeps us going. So when I started Buddhism, I didn't come to Buddhism because I had a great teacher or I had wonderful friends. I was in meditation, and before and after meditation made a huge difference. I started meditating not knowing what I was doing, and after meditation, I had a different view on the world. It was more bright, there was more love, there was everything. So that's an experience, you know? So I'm missing this. Where is it? Sorry.
Yes, eventually that's where we are trying to get to, or I mean, Shantideva is trying to get to, starting from from the 83 verses onwards, yes, all the way to the end of this chapter and all the way to all of the rest of the chapters, yes. Probably it's more of a universal in order to convey to the general, I don't know, audience or something, maybe that's why. But no, you're right. Shantideva is not trying to make us depressed or demoralized or something like that, yes. Obviously, yes, there are wonderful qualities that we can pick up, that we can embrace from either from the people that we know, people that we don't know. It's not only possible, but that's how it will be, I think. Yeah. Yet at the same time, it seems very, very beneficial in terms of, like I said, I think in one of the previous questions, covering all the angles. Yeah. Before we jump to the juiciest part, or the most profound part, actually, that we try to cover as much of the so-called relative or everyday aspects of things, you know. And the more we are able to do that, then later on we don't have to feel confused, actually. Yeah. And we don't feel like we have to again go backwards, you know, back to grade 1. Instead, we can just move forward and forward and forward because we covered the basics, we have covered the foundation. And so, of course, covering the foundation feels like a childish thing to do, boring thing to do, wasting time, wasting energy of my enthusiasm, my energy, my intellect, it's very much possible. Yes. But nevertheless, there is something there. Yeah. Yes, at the moment, raising family, having good interactions with friends, neighbors, communities, all those are there. I'm not trying to make it depressing, of course, what I'm about to say next. But, we can just, I don't know, one day have bad weather, and everyone has flu or something, and then cause all sorts of misunderstandings, even though it was all due to a flu. And then from there, the smallest, the least tangible doubts that we've had about each other in the past, which both of us kind of ignored, Suddenly, due to this one particular flu, almost made it come alive, sort of thing. It's always possible. Yeah? The way I'm trying to present is still very dry and not convincing enough, but nevertheless, anything can really, really take place. And then it's a funny thing, when one problem takes place, it's just like a flu, all kinds of other health issues, mental issues come into being, emotional issues come into being, and before we know it, it feels, as they say, colossal, And all it takes is just that one instant. So, no, Shantideva, maybe the way I am presenting it is depressing. That's one thing, yes. Shantideva is not trying to present something depressing at all. Yes. He's just saying, discover the most sort of everyday situation, and then from there, actually, you will find it in the very core of your heart. Meaning, once you are quiet, after talking about what it is nice to have seclusion, yes, and then from there, you are finally able to actually contribute or strengthen bodhicitta in this case, and really feel that, okay, now whatever we have been feeling so far, whatever animosity that was there, that was just nothing but a projection, nothing more than that. And we are all just a contributing factor, equalizing factor. And from here onwards, until I'm ready, sort of thing. Maybe that still sounds very not uplifting, but I don't think it has anything to do with not uplifting at all. It's being very, very practical to say, I want to grow, of course, as fast as possible, so that I can be there. But if I'm there, I don't want to be in a position where suddenly one day, oops, I'm sorry, I'm not strong enough, and then again go back, and then now have a real waste of energy and time. Because, yes, we can be quite comfortable with the idea that we have, many other rebirths to take, and according to how much of a merit we have accumulated, maybe I'll have another shot in the next life or tomorrow. All good, but today I want to do my best. So therefore, I want to make the most of it, and so therefore I don't want to be in a position where suddenly I feel I'm half ready. Yes. So therefore, this particular chapter becomes very realistic, I would say, so that I can be there, and at the moment I begin to be there, I'm fully ready. Anyway, this is just my take, but maybe I can still explain better. So therefore, yes.
I don't think it's about explanation. It's what gets me going, I think. And people are different. And I thrive on joy. I thrive on things working.
Yes.
And maybe it's because you quoted a lot about mothers and babies and how this all comes into a world, and it's a wonder. And because of that, I keep going because I can see like there's steps back and then there's one step forward and then, all of this. But what keeps me going in trying to do my best is that I see this little being growing and doing things, that have nothing to do with me. It's a wonder. It's just maybe I'm coming from this place.
I'm sorry, how old are they?
Oh, now? Now they're 15, 16, and 20. But I've been through, the little ones. It's just, and it's still the same process. I still see them growing, and that keeps me going. It's just, I see something precious, I guess. And I understand that this is a reflection how things are. It's just, I just miss something. I'm not saying it's wrong, of course, and I don't think it's boring. It's just like, it just doesn't really get me going.
Give yourself time.
Thank you.
Give them time. Before they will amaze you.
And they still do. They already do, actually. They do.
You said the eldest one is around 20 something, right?
Yes.
Give them time.
Okay. Whatever that means. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Lynn.
Karmapa, I didn't really hear most of the teachings, but I heard today, and what I understand was this kind of baby mind is an analogy for jhana, or some sort of very clear, quiet mind, where you just perceive things totally in the moment. And from that, we want to get to that, and that's where seclusion may happen. But you were saying something about introvert and extrovert as being ways of maybe practitioners maybe taking renunciation too seriously and turning away from the world. Is that the introvert side? And is the extrovert side saying, okay, forget about it, I'll go into the world? That's what I was wondering. And is the merit, the actions of merit, the actual action that practitioners can take that sort of combines the sort of non-action and developing yourself while still staying connected to the world?
So the point is?
The point is, I don't understand the introvert-extrovert.
Yes.
that you were talking about?
That was just me trying to show off as if I know English. Yes. That's why it created the confusion. Yes. And no, it's basically what I was trying to say is that, it's the. I was trying to talk about the extreme, the extreme that we always resort to. Either we go right or left, yes or no, and as a result, then we can get quite hooked by that, by that feeling, and get quite excited, yes. Although there was no real left or right, it's just, it looks, or it seems to appear that way, maybe, we don't really know exactly how it originates also, not really, yeah. I mean, we can go back in history and say that maybe those signs were there, way before, or it's because of my upbringing or something. It doesn't really matter, yes. But whatever be it, when something surprising pops up, then we can get quite surprised and taken in by that. And particularly if a fellow human being is involved, then it can get even more intriguing, to feel that, I'm here or there is no middle ground, So then it's that thing that makes us do all sorts of things, yeah. Even though we could be just having a nice laugh, that such thing, such surprising turn of events came into being, had a good time, and kind of basically one is able to identify that this is just a joke, But if you get hooked into it, then yes, you could go further and further and further. And where does it lead? Nowhere. Yet, it seems to go on forever. Yeah. What's the English term? Like a rabbit hole or something. It just goes on and on. Yeah. And now, since one has gone through one particular tunnel for so long, one may think, now I want to escape from this. It's a natural thing, but then since the habit has been so strong now to just go through a tunnel, then even if a chance is there, again one will go through the other tunnel, the opposite. I don't know. So yes, it's maybe the introvert extrovert probably was not the best of choice of words, maybe. But yes, extreme ideas are fun, but meaningless. Yes. Did I answer your question, or?
When you're saying left and right, these are the extreme ideas, maybe something we really want to explore. Is that what you mean by that? Maybe some project or something that?
Not sure. I mean, sorry. Of course, we can be as curious as we want to be, no problem, yes. But if you are going in circles, then not much point, is there? Yeah. Hmm?
Sanji Karmapa, thank you for your teachings. We've been hearing a lot from you and also from Lama Jampa Thaye and Jamgon Kongtrul Rinpoche about Buddha nature and about selflessness. And 2 days ago, Lama Jampa Thaye also mentioned again that the quote from, I think, Nagarjuna's letter to a friend, that no merit can, not an atom of merit can accumulate on the needle of pride. So, and you're talking about the layers of an onion. If we peel away these layers of an onion, like in the Bodhicaryavatara, when we talk about patience, anger, attachment, all of this is kind of like flat in our face. It's much easier to see than pride that comes up. And I'm wondering, at the same time, it is said we really have to develop this notion and idea of selflessness to be able to experience the Dharmakaya and the Buddha nature. And this is something that's really keeping me busy since a few, months, whatever, because I watch my mind and this habitual pattern of pride or grasping to a self, whether it's a thought, whether it's, well done, or whether it's, there are so many, there's just a multitude of how this pride constantly manifests. If there were a secret source from Karmapa against pride, what would it be? In everyday life, what would your advice be? Because I sometimes wonder, is it enough to just, as you always say, watch and observe, watch, and I watch it and I see it and I can say, there you are again. Is that enough for it to dissolve, for the habitual pattern to become less, or is there more that we should do? And yes, that is my question regarding pride and kind of trying to establish selflessness. And I would like to know if there's one more question that I can ask. It's a hunch that I have. Is it correct that, because what is always said about the Dharmakaya is that it's all pervasive and that we let go of all concepts? So, because it really helps me to sometimes understand things intellectually, although I know that's putting things in boxes. If the Dharmakaya is all pervasive, and what we are supposed to do in practices, which always blows my mind, is imagine myriads of beings, imagine myriads of universes, imagine myriads of ourself, our emanations. Does that actually mean when I do that, due to the fact that the Dharmakaya is all-pervasive, and that, for instance, time and space is just an illusion, that when I do that, this wish or this thought impacts all the emanations that I have in all times, in all universes, or is that a completely wrong notion?
Okay, I think I understood, I think. So the last part of the second question is it really, really all pervasive, the Dharmakaya?
No, it is. Like in the practice, we're supposed to imagine, like many emanations, for instance, of ourselves prostrating in front of all of the Buddhas. And if we do that, does the thought that I, right here now, that I do that, does that somehow affect all the emanations in all universes that are there, because there isn't really time and space, and everything is there at the same time?
Yes, it's, I mean, it sounds about right, yes. As long as that aspiration is there, coming from no agenda at all, you know, meaning agenda. At the end of the day, it's that I'm not seeking for anything else. Yes, then that's it. And you simply break through everything. You simply break through whatever emotional boundary, karmic boundary, boundary of what we would say defilement or habitual pattern. All of it. Yes, it just breaks through. Yeah. So it's quite beautiful actually. It's just that we have a hard time really believing in that, or not really to say believe, but to have confidence in that. Yeah. Because of all the experiences we've had so far in this life. Forget the past life, If you think of the past life, maybe it's more depressing. But no, it's that is the way, yes. So, okay, now I forgot your first question.
Referring to Karmapa's secret sauce against pride in everyday life.
Oh, okay. I have no secret ingredient. Like the stepfather of Paul, no secret ingredient, Yeah. I think if Shantideva is not able to convince us, then nothing will, I think, or no one will, because he's trying to lay or provide for us all angles, He's trying to quote the Buddhas, he's trying to use various forms of analysis, and at the same time his direct experience, and so therefore whichever method we wish to utilize, it's all there. Yeah? So therefore everything is here. Yeah? For myself, after some time, when such method becomes quite a bit to digest, then I just make wishes. Yes. At least I have the ability to make aspirations, and so with the little that I understand, of course, because I will be lying if I say understood. Yes. But the bits and pieces that I can understand, I use that knowledge or information and then make wishes. Yeah. Like how he has put it in the 10th chapter. And then go berserk, really. Yeah. And be like a child, Because now, when it comes to aspiration, then you don't have to follow too much logic. It's as good as dreaming, And then really just go all out. Yeah. So, if there has to be a secret ingredient for me, it's the part where I aspire, I think, or make wishes. Because then I don't have to be eloquent or right, I can just go all the way. Okay, so I suppose we are all out of time. No, we are not. A few. Yes, okay. Finally. You don't give up, do you?
Tashidare Gyalwa Karmapa, many Tukjiche. So yesterday you said the solution to everything is generating bodhicitta and focusing on bodhicitta. So the question is, what is bodhicitta? What it means to generate bodhicitta? How it's connected to taking refuge? What is taking refuge actually? And I mean. In simple terms, like with your secret recipe, and how it all plays together to understand the Mahamudra and selflessness.
Read this book. No, I have no secret ingredient or secret recipe or method. I was very fortunate to have my father day in, day out making me read this book. Since I was able to read, yes, and then he would make me memorize the text, the root text. Along with this, there was Madhyamika Avakalangatara. Then there was Abhisamaya Alankara, I think. These three root texts were the ones that he made me read, and memorize. Yeah. At the time, I didn't like it that much. Because of course the old traditional Tibetan way of reading was read the lines, a few lines, and then immediately try to meditate, Well, it's not really meditating, it's just trying to remember the lines. Mostly just through the audio, just through the sound. And although most Tibetans are used to doing it that way, using that technology, but used to because that is a common practice, yes. But it doesn't really help with understanding of meaning. Yeah. But at the same time, we have another technique, which is to memorize the spelling. Now that was great, yes. But that was something you would really dislike, yes. Because, for example, Bodhicaryavatara, this root text, when you print it in the traditional format, it's about this thick, actually. Right now the printing is very nice and everything, so it looks very simple, But to memorize by heart the whole 10 chapters is not easy. So then if you have to remember the spelling, then it's like saying 10 times harder. But nevertheless, very, very helpful. Because once you know the spelling, once you remember the spelling part, then now you can visit back in the verses or stanzas, and you can just pick up what you want, what you need. For example, you're angry, and then suddenly you go to the chapter of the patience, and all the remedies are there. So, yes, read, memorize if you can. Yes, it could be very, very helpful. Yeah. But beside that, then whether we decorate it as decorate what we do every day, in terms of the morning session, the evening session, or even the afternoon session, at the heart of it, I cannot stress enough that it is, or Shantideva's literature, this Bodhicaryavatara, is at the heart of it. Yeah. If you're thinking about meditation, then this is it, particularly this chapter and the next. And if you're talking about how to continue, how to have the motivation, how to have the enthusiasm to practice, then all the other chapters are it. Now, how to, after both, knowing a bit of meditation, knowing how to motivate ourselves to meditate, afterwards, what do we do with it? Then the 10th chapter is beautiful, because that's where then you freely give away. You don't hold anything back. Normally one would think that if one has found something precious, then we are, it's only logical that we might want to try to hang on to this, and keep it to ourselves. But in this case, no. It says Shantideva or all the Bodhisattvas say just give it away, dedicate, which sometimes known as aspiring. Although aspiring is part of dedication, where it's a part where you intake, but as soon as you intake, you exhale, sort of thing. And then through this, then you are wholesome. Yeah. You are not holding anything back, and because of it, the more you give it away, the more it comes back, sort of thing. Then it's complete. Yes. Then now we can label them as mudra, as unchanging, as stable, guarantee, flawless, pristine, all of that, whatever names we can find. We can say that, yes. Because it is offered without any kind of seeking for anything in return, first of all, by the Bodhisattvas. And we have embraced that, yes. And then now we do the same thing. We also pass it on. If possible, exactly in the same manner, but if not, in our own way, we pass it on to others. And as a result, then I wouldn't say suddenly we will have magical bodies, rainbows appearing, and all that. But there's an amazing kind of contentment, yeah, that we have never felt before. Maybe you can ask her how that feels, yeah. But it's beautiful, yes. And every time you dream a glimpse of that, wow, it's beautiful. Yes. And at the moment, of course, it's only normal. When that kind of dream seems to face a certain obstacle, and the mood does seem to wane a bit, and probably it's maybe okay to allow that experience of, waning experience, yes, because it's one of those where that it's not really selfish actually. It's not for me or for mine or for something solid, but that's just myself. In short, I might have would not be in a position to give or to share any kind of recipe or something like that. If I live long enough and grow a long beard and carry a staff or something, maybe. But till then, just read Shantideva's book. I think everything is there. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, no more, yeah? Yes? Sorry. Last one.
Thank you, Your Holiness. In the part on page 129 on exchanging oneself with others, there are like 3 pages where I don't really understand what's going on. I mean, it seems to be exchanging I and E, but it's like take others as yourself, identify yourself as other, then without another thought, immerse yourself in envy, pride, and rivalry. That's 140. And they are a little bit like this, the others. So what is going on there? It's in that book, The Way of the Bodhisattva, it's from page 129 to 31, 32. And then it seems to become more like Tonglen, as I understand it. But before, it's a little bit difficult to understand what he means.
Okay, 129. So from page 129 to some in the next few pages, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, for instance, what? A nobody without distinction? Not true. I do have some good qualities. Compared with some, is lower down. Compared with some, I do excel. My discipline, my understanding have declined, but I am helpless, ruled by my defilements. This is on page 129. So is it like you're exchanging, so E is I and I is E and
I is E. Kani? Yes. Okay. Yes. Well, I wouldn't say I know exactly. I completely understood, but nevertheless, as I did say something earlier. I think since we are in this sort of confused state, meaning from what they say from a practitioner's point of view, meaning someone like a Bodhisattva's point of view, already they can see the error or the flaw of of deciding, of deciding that this is where I am, and this is me, and this is mine, and then from there onwards establish everything, the whole universe. So now from that point of view, then since they can see that that's kind of not to say mistake, but it's a mistake, let's say, then I say something like probably it won't get any worse if you just shuffle that or reverse that, And if you reverse that, we can still carry on, as we have. Because one of the, my personal concept that I have is that I do understand that in order to take down this thing called klesha, that at the end of the day we have to take down the boss, take down the main villain, let's say. Then all the others naturally surrender. But it is my feeling that somehow we need to be quite tactful. We cannot just go up against the main villain in the first place, because we may not be strong enough. It will be a beautiful sight, of course. Someone who's someone like the minority going up against the majority, sort of romantic idea may be there, but nevertheless, it's not that realistic, one could say. But it's all about being tactful, I guess. Yes. So if you are tactful enough, we will eventually come to that point where we have a very good opportunity to take down the main villain, So whether we call it ego clinging or avidya or whatever we call it, we will be able to create that circumstance. But till then, we have to be kind of tactful. Yeah. So therefore, meaning without changing much of the circumstances, so that the so-called demon king is kind of relaxed. Yes. Because if that ego or whatever emotion, if that's alarmed, immediately it will put up all kinds of defensive parameters, and it's so experienced, yes. So therefore we have to be kind of careful. So instead, Shantideva seems to suggest that, okay, we deploy a tactic where we don't change anything actually. We leave everything as it is. We let everything function as it has been all this time. We just change some small things, you know. So in the case of how we perceive as here I am, maybe here you are as here I am, and just by that simple switch, although it is probably at the very core of things, nevertheless, somehow the general illusion is still there, you know, and therefore it feels quite natural. Now, of course, those are just probably analogies, you know. But nevertheless, like I said, we like story, yes, we like stories. And therefore, this method of Shantideva, maybe it's quite unheard of. Maybe for that particular era of Shantideva. Yeah. Whereas the idea of preparing for it by saying, okay, all sentient beings have been my mothers, and so on. You know, the 7 progressive steps. It's probably more story-oriented, you know, yeah, and therefore it feels probably more natural. Whereas to completely exchange one's place with the others, it's quite radical in some ways. Yeah. And so for the ego, it's a bit tough to digest. Yeah. Because we have all kinds of logic by saying, but I do feel pain, you know. When I pinch myself, I can feel it. When I don't eat, I do feel hungry. And when I hear things that are not pleasant, it hurts me. Yeah. So, therefore, it may be a bit radical, but nevertheless, for those of us who wishes to have something to be done instantaneous, then this method is it. Yeah. So therefore, maybe, I don't know, if I read the verses properly or not. But probably it's possible that we are just now suddenly replacing where we say what we say second person, or the you is in its reverse state. You know? Yeah, maybe that's the case. And therefore, now from that point of view, what kind of logics I would deploy in order to counterattack, and then accordingly how I would compensate that. Yeah. Maybe that's the case. Yes. Yes, it's in the case of the so-called other, yeah. So therefore says he, but nevertheless, the so-called other obviously will have all kinds of I don't know, tactics that they will deploy, yes, in order to either to protect themselves. But maybe even the idea of protecting is coming from a good heart at the end, you know, but not really coming out in a very smart way, yes, not so pleasant maybe. So therefore Shantideva is basically saying that that's probably how it will always be, you know, no matter what kind of state we are in. And so therefore all we need to do is just realize that, accept that, and then because now that one has accepted, or somehow one is trying to accept that there is no separation. Yes. Anyway, in short, either Shantideva or any other Bodhisattvas, what they are really trying to talk about is obviously the impossible, of course. Because even Shantideva also says that we simply cannot exchange places at all in reality, not that there is a reality, but it just doesn't make sense from all angles. But it's wonderful. Whoever has that kind of attitude, whoever has that kind of energy to attempt that, and not just attempt, but to keep trying and trying and trying, like a stubborn person, it's beautiful. And probably of all the beautiful things in life, probably that's it. Yeah. And so then now, I don't know, maybe his own friends maybe are basically arguing and saying that, sure, that's beautiful, if you say so. But nevertheless, that's about it, maybe it's not meaningful. But from his point of view, he thinks that it's equally meaningful. If he thinks that any other thing is meaningful, then we can just simply use that very, very logic to complement and say that, and it will actually further complement, meaning what we have, what the kind of habits that we have in order to benefit ourselves, protect ourselves, serve ourselves, make ourselves happy. If that's real, if we agree, if we agree that now that's ideal and that's the ideal way of living and so on, if that's the case, then all the more reason actually that both from the worldly point of view as well as what we say spiritually, or not even spiritually, maybe it's more on an emotional level, I don't know, what really makes us move. Because we just cannot explain actually. We just cannot explain why someone can be so kind or someone can be so generous. And so in this case, maybe exchanging positions may be just a word, but nevertheless, or maybe just an idea, but there are glimpses at least within our lifetime, and namtaras or biographies of masters from the past, if you look at them, not so far away, maybe some teachers of ours or something like that, so we are not so far away. And if you look at their biographies, we can see that, no, actually, it's a living example, And it's not that they were perfect, like machines or robots, that they could get tired, they could get sick, they could get hungry, but nevertheless, they are able to express those qualities. And you could almost feel that, I think this is what it means to say exchange places, I mean, we don't have to go too far into the idea of, okay, that I dissolve all of your pain and now I carry it for you, not in a literal sense, that kind of fantasy like that, but as simple as, I don't know, a child saying, oh, I wish I could take away your headache, you know. Okay, first of all, headache is not that big of a deal, yes? And secondly, you know that no one can do that. But from the fact that this little thing, sorry for saying that, is coming from a point where it doesn't know anything about our adult mentality, our politics, our ambitions, our dreams, you know, nothing of that. And when they say something, they really mean it, you know. And it's not just words, you know, but they really, really mean it. Yes. And it's really, really moving. Yeah. And now amplify that to what we would say a Bodhisattva or something, or a practitioner at best, is that now they are supposed to know, what their extra quality is that they are supposed to know our ambitions, our dreams, our emotions, our hopes and doubts mainly. And their merit has now proven that, like I say, credibility, I was saying, is such that by their track record, there is almost no trace of saying they did it for themselves, you know. And so now when they say the same thing, I pray that that your headache will be disappeared or something, you can almost feel the same thing, just like how you felt with or from that little thing, you know. Now, the only difference is the little thing has become a big thing, you know, but it's the same thing. Yeah. It's just that now we label that as others, or he, or she, or it, or something, but otherwise it's the same. So, yeah, I fervently hope that we will just, you know, we will just realize that, and that's it. And don't have to think too much, don't have to work too much, and just like that. But if you like working, if you like earning, if you like stories, then we are equally blessed, because then we can do just that. Yes, and we can put all of our effort to making that a very interesting and a comfortable journey. Yes. But I sincerely hope that you will not have to work and just wake up. Yeah. So then with that, then today we pause and we continue with the rest of the verses tomorrow. And we have the Hundrulung as well, but probably Hundrulung is better to read tomorrow before the reading. Now today we are quite late. Sunny, oh yes. So nevertheless, one can read before the one. Yes, no worries. And we will then continue the rest of this chapter in the next session. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow.